I have my color crayons, and I'm pretty sure you have color crayons at home. Doesn't really matter what colors you have. If your set's not this big, it's fine too. And some paper. You can use scraps if you want, but if you have nice paper, that would work too. We're going to be doing some of the things that we did before in pencil, only we're going to turn them colorful with color crayons, learn some techniques on how to really get the most out of our crayons. I'm Miss Therese. Welcome to Art with Miss Therese, and we're going to get started. I went through and picked out some colors that I'm going to use, and you can do the same, or you can just leave everything in the box and just kind of go for it. I can't find any black, and I don't know where it went, so you know what? I'm going to use another color. As you can kind of recall, I'm going to do a border or a frame just like I did when I used oil pastels or watercolor. Remember, we've done this before. If you just keep the heel of your hand down on your work surface and pull, you're going to get a fairly straight line like that. And also I turn my paper. I know I talk about this all the time, but in case you haven't seen one of these videos before, I hope this helps. And again, heel of my hand, keep it on the work surface, and then pull that crayon towards me. All right. So that gave me a little frame. You know, look what happened. I miscalculated a little bit, made this one a little bit shorter. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to come around if I want to make it look even, and I'm going to add on each corner just a little extra. And that way, I took a line that I can't get rid of and turned it into something. Now we drew this before. It's going to be like a crab that you can see on the beach, but we didn't do it in color, so I thought it would be kind of fun to take a shape that we've done before, maybe put it elsewhere on the page, so you're going to use your brain a little bit differently, and then go ahead and color it. As you remember, we did, and I'm going to have, this time I'm going to have my crab kind of at an angle. Last time I had it going straight up and down. I think we did it in ballpoint pen. So you do a line like this, and a line like that, and a line like this, and another line like that, and then bring it kind of back in here, and another line like this, like that, bring it in here. So I've got just sort of that nice kind of shell shape, just like that. And I'm going to do two little eyes on stalks, like that. And again, I don't have black, but that's okay. And some little antennas, like that. This isn't entirely accurate, but it's good enough, it'll do. And remember, using a crayon, you really got to think about your line, because you're not going to be able to erase it. So if you don't like your line, go ahead and start over. Remember, we made little bumps. And I'm going to have one of those claws kind of on top of each other, like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do 8 more bumps. They have 8 legs. Crustacean, that means their skeleton is on the outside, and their muscles are on the inside. And again, as we did before, I'm just going to build it like this. And sometimes it's really kind of fun to do something you've done before in a different medium, or if you did it in pen or pencil, do it in crayon. We can even do it in watercolor. This might make a fun kind of crayon resist project. What I want you guys to think about too is, just because we do something one way doesn't mean there's not going to be sort of another way to do it. And again, we're positioning it differently on the paper. It's going to make you're going to use your brain a little bit for that. And so there we go. They're really kind of fun to draw. Now, if I'd made a line that I didn't like, I could always go back over it again. Say I went way out on this one, I didn't want to do that. I'll show you a trick that we're going to be able to do when we're done. Now, I'm going to start out, lots of times crabs in the ocean are bluish or grayish, and we could do that too. And when you see them in the grocery store, they've been cooked, so they kind of turn sort of red or orange, and I'm going to just have some fun with that. Crayon technique, we might have done this before with leaves. I'm just going to kind of fill in like this. You may have your own way to fill in. All right. And I like it when you can actually move your paper around to really take advantage of being able to control your line. I've seen sometimes where people will tape paper down, and you know, it can get a little bit harder to have as much control. So I did lines that way. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to go the opposite direction. I'm going to kind of continue like this. Do the same thing. Go back over it the other direction. You could also, if you're a little more comfortable kind of coloring in like this, you could go like that. And I would just kind of like go over that again. Either way. Some of you might decide too that you want to go a little bit lighter. That's fine. And a lot of that depends upon the paper that you have. Layer of color with it, and let's see, I think if I come back, I'm going to do some blending here. I'm going to come back with a little yellow, and look what happens when I put that lighter color. You could do the same thing with greens, you could do it with blues, you could try mixing colors. Crayons are really, really nice and versatile. On the last little leg here, and you can kind of see how layering colors on with color crayons can really give you an intenser or a little bit brighter colors like that. Now let's see, I found some brown, and I think I'm going to do a little bit of shading. So I'm going to kind of come in with a little bit of a technique like this. Sort of just kind of filling in where the joints sort of start or end, depending on which way you're looking at it. So this is going to make your crab look a little bit more 3D. see, this makes it look maybe a little bit more 3D. You kind of come down here where that shell starts to kind of curve, sort of curve under a little bit. Kind of doing a little bit of back and forth, but you may find a better way to use your crayon, like this. Now, I didn't put any barnacles on this, but what I may do is put, I'm going to come back with that green, just put a few little, you could have, if we were going to put barnacles on it, we could have left like a little bit of white, but I'm just going to do some like little specks on it, like this, just like we did when we were drawing that other one. And again, it just sort of adds a little different texture or surface to it. And oh my gosh, look what you can do with color crayons. I really think this is a lot of fun. I'm going to come back in maybe with maybe a dark red. Let's see what that does there. There's just all sorts of little ways to add a little bit of color to that. So let's see. What I think I'm going to do for my background, and again, this could be on your wall like this. It could go like this. It could go like this. It's kind of fun. But I kind of sort of like it like that for now. How about this? What about a design in the background? And say my design was going to be maybe a little oceany looking. So I'm taking some lines like this, some sort of wavy lines like that, and having them kind of go under the crab and then coming back out again like this. You could do your own design, of course. What I'm doing is just giving you ideas, because I have a feeling sometimes your ideas are probably better than mine. So that gives me sort of a nice little kind of interesting background. And then I'm going to use my technique again and start coloring in. What I kind of like doing is really using the space on my paper. You don't have to do a big crab either. You could do a whole bunch of little crabs. You could try that. This is just sort of a starting off point, and just sort of so you can kind of get used to your materials. And it's always fun to go back and look at some of the things we've done, like say in watercolor or say in pencil, and translate them. It's kind of a fun word. It's like speaking another language. Translate them into another material or medium. Now I just kind of noticed something, that this color is kind of close to the color of my stalks and my eyeballs and my antennas there. So, but because I really wanted to use this blue, I'm going to show you a trick here. What I'm going to do, we're just going to color this in for now. I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the crab. Here I'm going to find another color and go over it and intensify that color. You don't have to do that, but I sort of am thinking I just really love this technique, and I love how solid it makes the crayons look. Now your technique, you may choose to do a far lighter and not as heavy crayon as I'm doing, and figure out that that's your style and that's how you choose to use your materials. Always remember, you're the artist. I'm just the person that's giving you ideas and showing you some techniques. here is I'm going to take the color that I just went over the first time we did the blue through here, and I'm actually going to do a little lighter technique here where I'm not pressing down so hard on my crayon, and I'm making a lighter shade. Now this technique here is I'm just kind of going back and forth like this, like I did when I began. That's kind of my favorite way of doing color crayon. And like I say, just kind of hold it steady, same amount of pressure. Some areas are a little darker, that's fine too. You know, color crayons are so common and around everywhere, and it's really, really fun to see what you can do with them. I think we may be doing more color crayon stuff too. One time when I was a little girl, there was, I think it was this set, and I had really, really wanted this set, and it was my birthday, and my dad got me a brand new set of color crayons, which was really cool. And then my poor little brother wanted to use them too, and I wouldn't share them with my brother, and so my dad said if I didn't share, he was going to take them away. So I shared with my brother. My brother is actually a very, very good artist himself. Now what happened here is my antenna and my eyes, the stalks and the eyes, kind of got lost a little bit, and same with some of the ends of the crab legs and so forth, because the green color that I outlined with is pretty close to some of the other colors here. So in order to remedy that, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to look for, I'm thinking probably this dark blue. And what I'm going to do with the dark blue is I'm going to kind of come back in here and add a little tip to that. We've done this with leaves before, but I'm just going to add a little tip. I wish it was black, but I don't have black. I'm just going to add a little tip to that to kind of, as they say, sort of beef that up a little bit, like that. And then come back in here and go over that. Color crayons are a little bit like watercolors. You can always go darker, but it's a little bit harder to go lighter. And then I'm going to add add a few little points like this, there. You can even add maybe a few other little lines here. Here we go again. When I start, I just don't seem to be able to stop. We're going to add a few little more flowy lines in here just for fun, just to kind of make it a little bit more interesting. Oh my gosh. And there's even room for me to put my initials and the year down there. And there we did something that we had done before just in black and white, and because we'd done it before, we had a pretty good idea of what we were going to do and turn it into a completely different drawing with good old color crayons. Well, I'm putting away the last of my color crayons. I did a little video on how to take care of your stuff, which I'm sure all of you already know, but it really does help to put your things away, and that way when you go to do the next project, you know where your things are, and you don't have to go running around looking for them, which sometimes I do. We just took the same picture we'd done before, and I think we did it in ballpoint pen, and repeated it which I really know sometimes can be, it's like, oh, I'm drawing the same thing. Right, and that's how you get good at it. And we're gonna be drawing lots of other things too. We did it in crayon, and we just kept layering the crayon on. You could keep adding more colors to this and brighten it, but look at how we used most of the page and put a nice design behind it, and hopefully had a little bit of fun and you learned something. You take care, and I'm looking forward to drawing with you again.